Hey everybody, this is Ready State Loop, and I'm Justin.
And I'm Eric.
And today we'll be covering the Xbox Games Showcase. So Xbox had their big showcase they want to put together in sort of like a response to the PS5 showcase that they had in June, and this is sort of Microsoft's mini E3 press conference, and sort of played as one. They also had to kind of save face from their May third-party showcase.
Gameplay showcase, yeah.
Yeah. That was not well received. And so early on, they kind of gave their quick, by the way, we've got something else coming up that should satisfy you people who are upset with our third-party showcase. And we actually did an entire video on it that you can see up there-ish.
Part of this video is that Microsoft had to come in and clear up a whole bunch of stuff. Along with that, they had some outstanding questions about, what exactly is the smart delivery? How is that going to work? What is optimized for Xbox? Does that mean anything specific? How does Game Pass play into all of this? And so there was a whole lot of area to cover. So the expectations were, going into this video, we're going to see Xbox Series X games, hopefully, given that they also needed to respond to Sony's June showcase, that we're going to see this running on Series X hardware, because that was a big point that Sony made in their announcement was, look, here are some games running on the PlayStation 5 hardware. In addition to all of that, one of the outstanding questions was Microsoft has purchased all of these game studios recently. The last few years, they've been buying up studios. What have they been working on? What are the games that they've been working on? The expectation is, okay, cool, they're making next-gen games, most likely.
Now, after being able to have watched the whole thing, what would you say the overall theme of the showcase was?
For the most part, there was still a surprising lack of gameplay footage, right? Most of this seemed to be cinematics. Most of it, other parts that were gameplay, it said rendered in engine, instead of rendered on, with Xbox Series X hardware. But, that was another thing, is all the games, I believe, were also available for the PC. So this was definitely a Xbox as a platform showcase, less than a Xbox Series X showcase. How about you? What did you think?
Xbox went into it, and as we said, they sort of postured this as a Series X gameplay. You'll be able to see what the this powerful console is going to be able to do.
Yeah,
they did do that. I think they actually were able to accomplish, like, here's all the games that will be coming to Xbox, and they did show off real gameplay on a good amount of those games. I think it's really like, did they deliver the impression that they were looking for? And that I would seriously question. People were excited to see what 12 teraflops of power would actually be able to get you, especially when they're building their own console as the most powerful console on the market. They have a specific marketing line for that, but they did do an excellent job of showing off Game Pass, though. Which, it might actually be the point of the whole thing. I think maybe their services is more important to them than the platform itself.
While they didn't really talk about what Game Pass was, they really did, and they actually didn't even talk about what smart delivery was. However, if you watched at the bottom, you saw all the games, supported on Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PC. My understanding going into the video, which was wrong, was the smart delivery would allow you to buy once and play on Windows or Xbox One or Xbox Series X. And whichever one you bought it for, you'd buy once and that would be it. That turned out to be wrong. This seems to be a stopgap for people who are buying games late generation on their Xbox One. When they get to their Xbox Series X, they can use the same game in their Series X, and Microsoft will, and the publisher, specific developers / publishers who prep the content this way and enable it, will allow you to get smart delivery and therefore get download an extra game pack or a version of the game for the Series X to allow you to play the game for that console instead of in compatibility mode or backwards compatibility mode.
Yeah, what's kind of interesting is that people noticed what we noticed, which was the labels that they had thrown on the end of every trailer, and they're like, wait a second, I don't quite understand what this does. And that required follow-up questions with like Phil Spencer or people from the Microsoft team, who then clarified further that here's what the Game Pass, or here's what Smart Delivery actually does for you, or how it's going to work in execution. The thing that annoyed me the most about their messaging was what came before this, and what was the result of this whole thing. So again, we have a video for this as well, but right here. Phil Spencer was spending a lot of time battling Sony, I guess, about their sort of strategy of next gen is next gen, last gen is last gen, and neither of the two shall mix. He made a big point to go, no, like, there's no reason to do that. Games can scale. We can still get great looking games on Xbox Series X and have it support Xbox One. And by the way, the first couple of years, all the first party studios are going to be supporting these both platforms.
Yep, via the Smart Delivery thing.
Via Smart Delivery, yeah. What turned out to be the truth was that of the 11 games that they announced that they hadn't previously announced, 5 of those from their internal studios were actually cross-gen. The remaining 6 were, at least they only stated, PC and Series X exclusives. So it leads to either two conclusions. One, of those 11 titles, 6 of those are not coming in the first couple of years, or it was just needless posturing and needless drama and marketing that kept the spotlight on Microsoft. And either way, I think that's kind of in poor taste, given that you spend so much time messaging one thing and then immediately have an entire showcase that causes you to backpedal.
To the point where other journalists had to follow up with Microsoft and say, but wait, what about the backward, all of your first party studios? And they had to come out and respond to it.
Yeah, it's like they pre-shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah. And one of the things that further didn't get clarified was the optimized for Series X, which they showed on every title had that? The badge?
Yeah, it was close to every title if they didn't display it, but I am almost certain it was every title. Yeah.
And that, so, at the end of the day, it was kind of like, okay, well, you have this new thing. What does that actually mean? And there was no extra information given during the video. It's hard to tell based on comparing different videos what that would mean. In a subsequent, I want to say it was either an announcement on the Microsoft or the Xbox blog. They have recently had a post about, or several posts about, optimized for Series X. And it sounds like that just means that the game was built or compiled against the Xbox Series X dev kit. And in theory, makes use of some of the hardware in some way to enhance the experience. At this point, it just seems like this was built for Series X versus an Xbox One game that happens to run on Xbox Series X because of compatibility mode.
It almost just seems like a needless difference that they need to make.
Yeah.
So on that.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. In short, their marketing seems to be clarify some of the points, but otherwise have muddied the water, or had previously muddied the water and now are further muddying it. So this was a game showcase, and they did show games in various states, either gameplay, trailer, or cinematic trailer, whatever you want to call those. So what looked the most interesting to
you? For me, I was mostly interested in what gameplay is there, what compelling visuals are there where they're showing gameplay. For me, gameplay was a big thing, or something I hadn't seen before. the two that that check those boxes for me of the games they showed were Medium and Gunk, or the Gunk, I think it's called
the Gunk. Yeah.
Yeah. Medium itself, the dual rendering thing had me like, oh, interesting. I wonder how they're going to use that. Are they going to be cross blending between the two worlds, like where you can ripple between them, or are they going to just wipe through certain zones, or are they literally just going to have it be that it flips between it, and they can do that very quickly? They really didn't show an example of that very well, other than to say like run two side by side and say these are running at the same time, and I was like, okay, I don't understand how that works in gameplay. You haven't shown me something neat, but I'm interested. The other one, the Gunk, it just looks like a really polished, beautiful game. Art style, consistent and enticing art style, with a mechanic that has me, wondering how it will be used, and hearkening to some other games that I have enjoyed in the past. And it looks fun. How about you? What were your standouts?
Yeah, I mean, for me, mostly, like, discerning what gameplay was about was difficult. I would agree Medium and Gunk both looked like they had the most interesting gameplay mechanics that were being introduced in a new game. Personally, Everwild was one of the most beautiful looking games that they had on display. I don't think they were showing actual gameplay. It looked like they were target renders, or maybe stuff that was rendered within an engine. But either way, I love the art style of it. I like Rare as a developer, and it looks like a type of place that I want to spend time in, like a Breath of the Wild meets Avatar: The Last Airbender sort of thing. But it looks cool. It looks cool, and I want to play with fluffy animals. Avowed and Fable, like, again, neither of those showed gameplay, but they are, like, Obsidian's an excellent RPG maker, so them making something that looks like their equivalent of, Skyrim, looks awesome. At least promises a cool future game, as with Fable. Like, Fable is a fantastic RPG. Granted, Lionhead's not a part of it anymore, or Peter Molyneux, but at least that quirky humor looks to be kept intact, and maybe we'll get graced with a really fun and kind of witty RPG that makes you make really questionable moral choices. Yeah, but anyways, well, that aside, like, what looks to be the most enticing to you, like, what games actually looked like they were pushing into that next gen envelope space?
Yeah, so that was it. I have a hard time with that determination on this one. Some of the games seem to be up-res last gen games, which is understandable. We're at a transition point. That's fine. Forza had some stuff that looked really cool and really pretty. They didn't show any gameplay. Medium, again, had some of those shots. They were very quick. It's hard to tell what was going on. Hard to tell what gameplay is actually going to look like. The fact that it's doing the dual rendering means they're probably making good use of the GPU bandwidth that they have, and like the rendering bandwidth, which is that is an example of what a next gen title could do. How about you? Is there any standouts?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, stuff that looked like it was pushing the envelope to next gen. Again, it's hard to say because a lot of the stuff was not running on the Series X, and the stuff that looked like it could have been running on the Series X was running on a PC instead. But the stuff, let's assume that stuff was representative of what the Xbox Series X is going to be able to do. Yeah. Again, going back to Everwild, which, again, beautiful looking game, tons of work with hair shaders, probably would not be able to pull that off on last gen, not in the amount that they're doing. Yeah, Crossfire X, outside of that, like, that was probably the most impressive looking game on Showcase. Was gameplay footage or stuff that was very close to it, from the guys from Remedy. So like, there's going to be fun gameplay shooting mechanics, but it was running on PC. So, all right. So we covered the games that they actually showed, and we covered how their messaging went. I think the real question is if you were the Xbox team, what can they do differently to improve their future marketing to really like sell this console?
Yeah. Well, to sell the console, that's a really interesting point there, because, what this video seems to be kind of a bit of a hydra. It's got many heads trying to do multiple things, which is not a really great way to go about doing stuff when you're marketing. I think to improve things to sell the console, they need to show gameplay. Show me what the games are going to... I want to know what my experience is going to be like. Show me an experience that's compelling, not a trailer. Like, I go to the web for trailers. Show me stuff running on Series X hardware. Say, this was run on a Series X hardware. Look how good this is. You've told me for months that this is the most powerful console ever. And then I would really, really love to see a game that only runs on the Series X. Show me something that takes advantage of the Velocity architecture, the fast SSD, I guess part of the Velocity architecture, like ray tracing. Show us something that was built from the ground up that said, like, you guys went off and said, we've been building this console for 3 years, however long it's been. What is a target, even if it was an internal demo where you said, look, this is something we've put together to really run the system through its paces. Look at the awesome stuff we've been able to do. The one through line other than Series X on this seemed to be Game Pass, and that's what it was. Then be honest about it. We're not going to be unhappy. We're going to be unhappy when our expectations are set, and then you do something else.
Yeah.
So yeah, how about you? Or what, Justin? What do you think about this?
I'm not of a different opinion than where you're at. I think people really were expecting to see what the future of gaming was supposed to be. I think it's something Sony was able to do, and Microsoft has sort of been floundering on. They have, I don't remember how many studios they said they have, but I think it's 11 studios, something like that.
It's something on that order, yeah.
But they need to show what they've been doing. Show the actual gameplay. If you're not ready for gameplay, don't mask it as like, here's a weird visual target piece. Like, show gameplay, show a trailer. Or if you're not ready, say, this is years off and we really need to... there's a lot more development before you'll ever see anything come out of this. So yeah, I mean, a lot to nitpick, but I think what's your takeaway from the entire thing? What would
from
you...
this thing?
Yeah.
This video really did seem to be more of an advertisement for Game Pass than it was for the Series X. Sure, all the games played on Series X. They ended the video talking about Game Pass. If you look up what's available for Game Pass, you get Game Pass Ultimate. You can play games across PC, Xbox Series X, Xbox One, all of which is great. Sure, that's wonderful, but as I said before, it doesn't really match with the expectations of what this video was supposed to be. However, that seems to be where their focus is. It really seems they're heading towards a games as a service world, and this is one of their pushes. How about you? What's your takeaway?
They're going up against Sony's massively successful internal studio development, and that they're trying hard. I think Microsoft's just one step behind them. They largely did not have their act together on the Xbox One with their internal studios, with the exception of the releases of Halo and Gears. But a lot of their internal stuff had just taken that back seat for this last generation. And a lot of that, I think, had to do with restructuring and acquiring new studios to take up the helm. And as a result, they seem, at least a year or so behind Sony. And Sony apparently has had their studios well at work on developing stuff for PS5, knowing that this is the platform that's coming. So Microsoft's their game studios are behind. I have no doubt that those studios are capable of pulling out some really excellent games. We just won't see anything for it for at least a year. And yeah, I think with the Game Pass thing, it's the same thing, where it's if you were to look at this showcase and tell me it was a showcase for Xbox Game Pass, I'd say they did an awesome job succeeding. A monthly price that they're setting that is less than the cost of the game gets me access to all their first party content and then people that they're collaborating with specifically, to the point where their entire showcase was Game Pass compatible. You've got me on it. Yeah, I'd plunk down that money to be part of that service. But did it sell me on Xbox Series X? No. Like, they have not shown what the future of gaming looks like on their super powerful console. I'd love to see it. It's just, maybe we have to wait that year before we see the content.
Yep.
And with that said, that's probably a wrap.
Time to wrap it up.
Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for us, put it in the comment section. You can watch Eric fix his hair.
Fix my hair.
I'm going to keep that shot in there.
The wrong way. Great.
If you like what we're doing, like, comment, subscribe. Right now.
Yeah.
Please.
Love to see you back here.
It helps us a lot. All right. Take care,
Good
everybody.
stuff. Love you all.
See ya.
Have a great night.
Peace.